what comes with leaving your home country is you're suddenly in a land of a lot of opportunities, but then you're also in a land of no backup.
Situation can be out of control anywhere. It's not
Yeah.
necessary. If it's not your home country, there will be a lot of parameters.
Like it's not about the company you work in, it's not about how much they pay you, or it's not about options fully.
Right.
Unless and until you don't have the mindset where you start feeling independent, none of this will matter.
If you are in the US, one of the things which comes on top of your mind is the H1B situation, right? Because I think it's based on lottery. Maybe one round आपका number नहीं आया, or maybe second round, third round. So what was exactly going in your mind at that time?
But जब second time नहीं लगा, then it hit me कि oh shit, things are getting serious. Yeah, I can talk about my most productive hack or the technique that gives me the most productivity. If you have the right mindset and if you have built that confidence, I don't think the country will matter anymore. So no country is a step back. It all depends on कि तुम्हें life में या life से क्या चाहिए.
I think being good at your craft is much more important than being in any country, right?
And I also believe that you should be really treating your work as a craft. Unpopular opinion, but Canadian winters are nice. Let's say I move to a new place, and I think the hardest part is making friends or creating a new social circle. Someday things will fall into place, everything will make sense, and yeah, it will get better.
Hello everyone and welcome to our podcast Build Different Abroad. This podcast is all about sharing the real raw stories, and all these stories are shared by immigrants out here, because we all know living abroad, it brings out a different kind of muscle in you. And today, to share his incredible journey, we have Chiranjeevi. Our first episode is going to be all about redefining success after setbacks. So to give some more brief about Chiranjeevi, he recently came to US, like not recently, I think 5 years ago, right? Like 5 years ago to US, and he completed his master's from North Carolina State University, or more famously known as NC State University, and you graduated in computer science. And from there, he continued on working in FANG, like one of the FANG companies. And recently, he has shifted to Canada. So today, we'll be covering everything about his journey, about like how did he go there, what was his mindset when he was coming to Canada. And I think this podcast is very beneficial for anyone out there who feels like they are stuck in a visa situation or any situation which is out of their control. And yeah, let's begin this awesome journey.
And thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be meeting.
Thank you, Chiranjeevi. So the first thing I would like to know about is when you actually came to US. So actually my first segment of this whole story, it's going to be all about like when people who are in India, when they think about abroad, they think all about the rosy picture, right? That, oh my God, it's going to be all about a good lifestyle, expensive brands, good air quality index, and maybe like good landscape. But what do you think was a major shift after you shifted here in US or North America in general, which people might miss out there, like when they're thinking about this rosy picture, like these are, or this is something they might have not thought about?
Yeah. So I think what comes with leaving your home country is you're suddenly in a land of a lot of opportunities, but then you're also in a land of no backup. So I think a lot of people don't give that much of a thought to stability, and especially in a country like US, already jobs went बहुत hard है. I think that's more of a concern because your ability to stay in the US and your visa status, that is dependent on your job after the graduate. So I think that is something a lot of people only realize once they are already here.
Interesting. And I think this is not just specifically to US, right? It can be anywhere. You can either be in Europe or anywhere.
Yeah.
Because as you're not in your home country, like visa situation can be tricky anywhere, like any other country in the world. So even if you are from you are right now listening this podcast from any other part of the world, don't think that this is just based on anyone based in US or Canada, but everywhere, because situation can be out of control anywhere. It's not
Yeah.
necessary. If it's not your home country, there will be a lot of
Yeah,
parameters,
that's true.
right?
I think that's a really good point. I think every country has its unique challenges.
Right.
So, yeah, if something is rosy in the US, something else might be rosy somewhere else. And for example, like I was talking about stability in the US, right? Or rather, the lack of stability. So I
Yeah.
think here in Canada, Canada is a lot better in that aspect where you don't feel that. But then the things that were nice in the US, like some of those things you won't find here in Canada. So yeah, it's all about the pros and cons. Environment will change, but then I think your mindset is what will define you, and that basically stays constant.
Okay, so as you shared about stability, I would like to know more about, dig deeper in this.
Uh-huh.
So, when you say stability, like what are the parameters which come to your mind?
I think for me, stability is the peace of mind. Let's say life में कुछ भी unexpected होता है, then how it's going to affect all the other aspects of your life.
Right.
So I think with that mindset, I was not really very comfortable living in the US, and yeah, that is pretty much it.
And I also think with adulting, maybe like you have so many things to decide, right? You want to have a life partner, you want to buy your own car, have a
Yeah.
house,
Yeah.
and if you're not stable in any
Yeah.
country, then how will you plan
Yeah,
all of
that's-
these things,
That's
right?
true. That's
Especially, I think buying a house, like I think that's tricky one, because
Yeah.
you need to be in that country for a good amount of time, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's definitely true. So like buying a house, as I said, वो काफी बड़ा financial investment होता है. That will only be beneficial for you in the long term.
Right.
And then also like finding a life partner, as you mentioned, it's already hard finding a life partner, and then on the top of that, if you're not feeling stable under say, then it's even harder to get an alignment with your partner. I mean, it
Right.
just adds another layer of complexities to everything that you want to do in life.
Okay, so while we are talking about US, I also know that you actually worked with a FANG company, and as we all know, like out there is still notion that, oh my God, if that person is out there and he's working with one of the top tech companies, then everything is going to be like, ab to sab sorted hai yahan se. So do you actually think, like when you were working over there and everything, like does that, it actually feels like that?
I think yes and no. So I think initially, for example, मैं education loan लेके आया था, तो working at FANG really helped me break even. So it gave me, at least, if not anything, it gave me a sense of financial security and also job security, in the sense कि let's say अगर आज US में कुछ नहीं हुआ, तो at least I'll be able to move anywhere, क्योंकि most FANG companies की branches all over the world है. So I think that is something that it gives you. But then slowly and steadily, I think you'll realize कि like it's not about the company you work in, it's not about how much they pay you, or it's not about
Right.
unless and until you don't have the mindset where you start feeling independent, none of this will matter.
For sure. And also, Chiranjeevi, like talking more about it, that I know if you are in US, one of the things which comes on top of your mind is the H1B situation, right? Because I think it's based on lottery, and you know that वो पैरामीटर, मतलब वो आप सिचुएशन को आप कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते हो. तो जब आप लाइक टॉकिंग बैक देन, जब आप उस सिचुएशन में थे कि ओके फाइन, इन मे बी वन राउंड आपका नंबर नहीं आया, और मे बी सेकेंड राउंड, थर्ड राउंड, what was exactly going in your mind at that time? I'm like, how did it feel?
Okay, yeah, that is interesting. So during my first attempt, मेरी ये first job थी, I thought life में सब कुछ अच्छा हो रहा है, आगे भी अच्छा ही होगा. तो first attempt I didn't really care. I was like नहीं लगा तो नहीं लगा. फिर but जब second time नहीं लगा, then it hit me कि oh shit, अब things are getting serious, shit is about to hit the fan, and I don't know where will my life take me, where do I really belong. And then I started getting anxious, and I started feeling insecure. Not insecure, I would say I started feeling the lack of safety. And then I think I took my time to absorb the feeling and then analyze it, and then later it hit me that I think it's all about the mindset. Like I asked myself this question: ki, what's my goal in life? Is it to live in the US or is it to live a good life? And then I decided, yes, my goal is to really live a good life. So living in the US does not matter. And the only thing that I can control in this uncertain environment is myself. So I started working on myself for my emotional, physical, and mental health. And then by the third attempt, I was somehow back to square one where I didn't really care.
So Chiranjeevi, as you were mentioning about, there is certain amount of anxiety which is involved in this process when you are actually in the lottery system, but I think this also ties down to the uncertainty in general also in life. So what were the things which you actually did that helped you cope up with it or make peace with that uncertainty wali feeling?
I think as I tried to address my life through all these various fronts, I thought कि ठीक है, जितना भी time है मेरे पास, I'll do what I really want to do in life. I'll just make the best out of these years. So I thought, okay, मुझे क्या पसंद है लाइफ में, तो मुझे हर वक्त मैं काफ़ी आउटडोर्सी पर्सन था एंड आई वाज लाइक अब तो मैं वो चीज़ें करके रहूँगा जो मुझे करनी थी. So then I started mountain biking, I started rock climbing, I started kickboxing. So,
Nice.
Yeah, तो मतलब at the end I didn't want कि 3 साल बाद मुझे गिल्ट हो के मैं कुछ कर सकता था और नहीं करी. Similarly, like mental health के लिए I started meditating and that was really a game changer for me. So like once you start meditating or once you do something physically for yourself, it starts to create a domino effect. And I think the biggest shift was like when I started doing all these things, I naturally became more productive. And yeah, I can talk about my most productive hack or the most productive technique or the technique that gives me the most productivity if your audience wants to learn more about it.
I think that's a great method because I think you must be feeling more like I don't know if visa lagega ya nahi, but might as well make the best of this
Right.
time, right? And I think that's a great way to go because I think even when you're trying your own hobbies and doing what you like, then in those scenarios you're giving the power back to yourself rather than giving the
Right.
power to the situation which you can't control anyway, right? So, wow. And also, do you mind like sharing us the link of the community which you might have joined for meditation or like what practices helped you during, because when you say meditation, it's a long procedure, right? But what helped you?
Yeah, of course. I'll share the link. I'll mention it in the description below so you guys can check it out.
And yeah, let's get back to the productivity hack. So,
Yes.
what was the hack?
Okay, this is a very famous technique used in management, but I don't know, either people don't talk about it often or I don't know, it doesn't work for people, but trust me, follow this for a couple of weeks and then it'll really help you a lot. So it involves breaking your life or breaking your tasks down into 4 quadrants.
Oh, okay.
So quadrant 1 involves things that are urgent and important, and the more number of tasks you have in quadrant 1, the more anxious and nervous you'll feel. And I'll explain how. The second quadrant is for the tasks that are not really urgent, but they are very important. Then quadrant 3 are the tasks that are urgent but not important. And then quadrant 4 is neither, not urgent, not important. So to give an example, let's say a task in quadrant 1 which is urgent and important. So let's say you have your visa appointment or you have an exam tomorrow and you're not studied. So studying is now very urgent and very important.
Takes me back to the engineering days.
Yes. Yeah, and then coming back, quadrant 2, which is important but not urgent. So for example, maybe listening to a podcast, like listening to a podcast that helps you grow in your field maybe, or working out, or maybe attending a conference or things like that. Then in quadrant 3 are the things that are urgent but not important. Let's say someone rings a bell, you're getting a phone call from an unknown number, and then all the other things are in quadrant 4. Let's say like watching TV, it's not really urgent, not really important. So if you notice, the things that you do in quadrant 2 will usually give you more happiness. They'll fulfill you with a sense of productivity and things like that. And but the thing is, quadrant 2 is important but not urgent. But when things start moving from quadrant 2 to quadrant 1, that's when it will give you a lot of anxiety. So for example, you have to file taxes and you're a month away, right? Now imagine if you proactively do that, because it's in quadrant 2, it'll never come into quadrant 1. But now you're 2 days away from the deadline, it'll suddenly give you anxiety because now it's in quadrant 1.
Yeah.
So just take some time out, maybe half an hour every week, and just divide your tasks into those quadrants and create a calendar invite for yourself, or block your calendar with each of the quarter 2 or quarter 1 tasks. That we don't have to carve out time, that we don't have to remember. A calendar notification will remind you, and it's gonna really help you a lot.
Yeah, I think staying in abroad, you have so many things to do. I know all my Sundays मैं उठ के वैसे ज़्यादा घर के काम complete कर रही हूँ, planning the whole week के आगे क्या खाना है, क्या करना है, and you have 10 things to do. You have to work out, you have to do skincare, you have to complete, I don't know, so many immigration formalities and so many things related to work. So I think this productivity hack will it's actually helpful in like segregating things
Yeah.
out and organizing things in your mind. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
And I think even staying in abroad, you really need to build this muscle of organizing the tasks,
Yeah.
right? Moving on to the next segment now, when the whole thing happened, like when you had to actually take the decision that okay fine, the things might not work out in the US and ab Canada जाना ही पड़ेगा, so that even the thought come into your mind कि oh अगर let's say अगर Canada भी picture में नहीं होता and like you had to actually go back to India or explore any other places, so do you think that would have been like a step back in your mind? Or I'm pretty sure you must have got any thought remotely around it, right? Because I'm pretty sure there are so many people out there which might be in this boat right now and they don't know how to plan next. So can you share any of your thoughts around it?
Yeah, I think again, like the theme of this podcast has been mindset, and I cannot emphasize this enough. Like with the if you have the right mindset and if you have built that confidence, I don't think the country will matter anymore. So no country is a step back. It all depends on कि तुम्हें life में या life से क्या चाहिए. Like when I realized that I have limited time in the US, I started exploring other options, and then I also started analyzing what I wanted with my life. And it wasn't कि just Canada ही option था या India ही option था. It's all about कि at that point in time in my life, I thought कि moving to Canada is the most logical thing to do for me, for my work, for my career, and yeah, basically the path that I wanted to take in life is easier achieved in Canada
Interesting.
at that point in time.
And I also think if you, no matter in which field you are, I think being good at your craft is much more important than being in any country, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
assuming, let's say you are in computer science. So if you have the skills good enough, if you are very good at your craft, you can actually take that skill anywhere and the world will pay you for
Yeah,
it, right?
that's really true. And I think I really like the way you call it a craft, because I think and I also believe that you should be really treating your work as a craft. Like anything that you're passionate about, if you treat that as a craft, you'll be on your way to be the best craftsman. And then there is nothing in the world that's gonna stop you. If you're the best in the biz, you're gonna get paid and you're gonna create a future anywhere.
Yes, I think that's a good thought. And just to articulate like what we discussed so far, I think the three key things which I could understand. First of them being that instead of worrying about the situation which is already out of your hand, you can actually take that energy and you can channel it to somewhere where on the things you like you said, like you went for kickboxing, hiking. So whatever you like, if you channel your energy on those things, maybe it will help you feel much more in control. And there's nothing much that can be done too, right? So might as well try out the things that you actually love and feel more grounded. And second thing you mentioned was meditation, because at some point you need to know which thoughts you need to stay and which thoughts you need to ignore, otherwise you'll keep spiraling in it. And the third one is mastering your craft, right? You can always channel that energy towards sharpening your axe and being the best at what you are doing, and also creating a personal brand, because these three things, in fact, having these three skills will also, no matter where you are, with which employer you are working, you will go and you will always nail it. Like, it doesn't matter where you are in that matter, right? You'll always make money out of it. You can always bring yourself out of any situation.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Chiranjeevi. And so the next segment I'm gonna ask about, this is more about your life in Canada.
Uh-huh.
So after coming to Canada, like,
Mhm.
I know, as people they say out there that, oh, there are so many taxes, or that can be applied to any of the country, but what was the major shift which you felt after coming to Canada,
Mhm.
and how did you make your peace with it?
Yeah, so that was a shocker to me as well. So I moved to Canada. When I moved to Canada, I was working for the same company in the same job role. But then I noticed मेरे paycheck 40% कम हो गया था.
No
like
way.
yeah. And on the top of it, I realized that the taxes are way higher in Canada, and on the top of it, the living expenses are also higher than the US based on what you earn. So effectively, जो तुम्हारा disposable income है, it's a lot less in Canada. It's a lot harder to save in Canada, and of course that was a really big shocker for me. Like, even though I did my math, but जब तुम्हें तुम्हारा paycheck मिलेगा, then it'll hit you different.
There's always something which you must have missed.
Yeah, but then I think, as with most things in life, it does get better with time. So after some time, as we discussed, with the right mindset, with a growth mindset, you'll start seeing the positives, and then you'll start accepting the negatives, and that's when you'll see more opportunity. Effectively, like, if you look at it, when I was working in the US, since I was a student, or it also applies to most people working on H1Bs, that your paycheck is gonna be the max of, or the ceiling value of what you earn. But in Canada, since this country gives you a lot more opportunities and it's a lot more flexible and stable,
Yeah.
your paycheck is gonna be the floor value. That means it's gonna be there are a lot of opportunities. This is the minimum that you learn. It just takes a little bit of getting used to trying out different things, and then the things will fall into place.
Yeah, I think because in Canada, even I have seen, like, there are so many of my friends who are trying out some side hustles or different opportunities. Like, some are into real estate, some are just building their side business. And also, I think in today's market, it's also very important to have something going on side by side, right?
Yeah, you never know when AI will take over your job.
No way! AI is a separate podcast. But yeah, you're right. I'm like, no matter where you are, if you have the right mindset, you can always build on the things, like you can make the best out of the opportunity, basically, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That was very nice insight to share, Chiranjeevi. And my next question, it's not going to be a question, it's going to be a rapid fire round. Are you excited for it?
Yes.
Okay, so the rules are pretty simple.
Uh-huh.
I'll just give you some situations, and you have to just select which one you like, okay, without thinking. And I'll give my take also on it, and we can just discuss on it.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. So, beginning with one word for immigrant life.
Fun.
Wow. I would say being as flexible as possible.
Yeah, but that's not one word, right?
Yeah, flexibility. First thing you bought after moving abroad?
Let me remember. Shower filter.
The water is so hard, right?
I know.
And now this is, let me see, overthinker or risk taker?
Risk taker.
Interesting. I'm more of an overthinker. But discipline or motivation?
Motivation. Yeah. So I think discipline is the harder thing to achieve. Motivation is fleeting. Like आज सुबह तुम motivated हो, शाम तक नहीं हो. Yeah. So I think once you be disciplined, motivation doesn't really matter, and that's what I aim to be. Currently, I'm just motivated.
I can totally understand. I think discipline is something जो मुझे बचपन से बहुत बताया था कि be disciplined, but like growing up, I'm realizing the more value of it. Because yeah, I'm also more on the motivation end right now, but I think once you build discipline, like success is going to follow you,
Yeah.
right? Okay. One word that describes you today.
Happy.
That's nice.
बस है.
Canada winters, love or hate?
I love Canadian winters. Unpopular opinion, but Canadian winters are nice.
I'm so hardly judging you right now.
If you're living in one of the major Canadian cities, it's really easy to live through the winters. For example, here in Toronto, like the city is designed with winter in mind. Like everything is, at least near the downtown area, everything is connected via underground system called path, and so you don't really expose yourself to the environment. Like मान लो ग्रोसरीज लेने जाना है, जिम जाना है, ऑफिस में जाना है, दोस्त से मिलने जाना है, तो you don't have to really worry about dressing up a lot. You just use path.
And also I think if winter sports,
Yeah.
you can just go crazy on
Yeah.
that. Okay, one thing you miss about India.
What's the food? Yeah.
That hits my pani puri veins right now. One thing you don't miss about India.
Huh. I would say the AQI.
Success or peace?
Peace.
Interesting. Even I would have gone for peace. Stability or freedom?
Freedom.
Money or time?
Time.
Why time?
If you have all the money in the world, but then you don't have time to really enjoy the small things in life, is it really worth it?
That's true. What about you if you have a lot of time but no money?
You can make money, but if you have time, you can make money.
Okay. And this is the last one. If you had to describe your entire journey in one word, what would it be and why?
I would say adventurous. So I think I'm really happy life gave me all the setbacks and then rewarded me with all the beautiful things. And I don't want it any other way. I'm just really happy. It was one hell of a roller coaster ride, but I'm really content.
That's so nice to hear, Chiranjeevi. And I just have two final closing questions for you. As an immigrant, I know one of the things which is constant is change, because opportunities, it can take you to different cities, different countries. What do you think, or at least can you share about the mindset which helped you? Because I'm pretty sure you moved the cities. You were in North Carolina, then you came to New York, then you came to Toronto. It was like there was a changing of country also in here. So what mindset helped you?
So I think not worrying too much about where life is going to take you, and then being passionate and just working hard on the things you love and things you really want in life. So I think that builds a solid foundation for being adaptable, because under okay, you got this, your fundamentals are really strong, and I think that helped me the most. And like
Nice. So I think adaptability is a very good point, because I think even if you're out there, like the more open to you are to new connections, building those new connections, and also trying out new
Yeah.
things. Like I remember when I was in Montreal, I had a friend who was from Peru and one was from Canada itself, and they made me try go to these Latina parties, and it
Mm.
was so much fun. I would have never done that by myself, but and now they're my very good friends.
Yeah.
So I think this is also a beautiful thing about being in abroad, right? Like
Yeah.
you always go out and you meet new people and
Yeah.
you build on those new experiences.
Yeah, that's true.
And also one thing which I've heard is, like you mentioned, like you love doing kickboxing, right?
Yeah.
Like even going to classes.
Yeah. And I think tying back to our discussion before, let's say I move to a new place, and I think the hardest part is making friends or creating a
Right.
new social circle.
Yeah.
But then if you keep doing things that you really enjoy, like going for some kickboxing classes or volunteering or meditating, I think you'll organically meet people who
Mm.
are into the same things, and like those are gonna be some real good connections to make.
That's true. Like the familiar faces, like you
Yeah.
keep meeting them in every event, and that builds up as a new
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really nice. And one last closing question before we bore our audience. So, if there is anyone watching this podcast right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they are in a situation where they might have done everything right, like they graduated from a great university and they got a very good job, but right now they are in a pickle because of a situation which is out of their control. It can be a visa situation, can be any situation.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your thought to them
Mm-hmm.
or your advice to them
Mm-hmm.
now that you have actually traveled that journey and you are in a better place now?
Yeah, I think the answer to that would be the synopsis of our entire podcast. Just stop taking your life so seriously. Just do what you love and love what you do. And everything, like someday things will fall into place, everything will make sense. And yeah, it will get better.
That's so great to hear. And thank you so much,
Thank
Chiranjeevi,
you.
for being the first guest on our podcast. And it was lovely having this conversation with you. And to everyone who tuned in, who made it till here listening this podcast, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. And this is our new initiative, so we are always happy to take new suggestions. If anything you want to hear, any topic you're curious about, feel free to give us the topic in our comments. We always love to hear feedback, and we always love the new content ideas. And please like, share, subscribe if any of your friends or anyone you think who might benefit out of this podcast or might be in a similar situation. And next week I'll be back again, and this time I'll be having a guest who is into fitness. So we'll be talking all about the fitness in abroad. So stay tuned.